There's a particular seafood that many gentlemen over the age of 60 consume religiously, believing it promotes good health, specifically for their heart, but in reality, it might be subtly undermining their virility. I'm referring to a common fish available in nearly every supermarket, restaurant, and senior-focused meal plan. The surprising aspect is that it's been associated with hardening of the arteries, ongoing inflammation, and reduced testosterone levels. These are three silent adversaries that diminish erections, deplete energy, and weaken the very essence of your masculinity. Most men are completely unaware. They consume this fish, thinking they're making a healthy choice, and then wonder why they struggle to achieve an erection. I'm Dr. Evelyn Blake, a specialist in men's health with over 30 years of experience assisting older men in reclaiming their self-assurance, energy, and performance. I've personally witnessed how diet, particularly seafood, can either damage or dramatically restore a man's erections and hormone levels after 60. The reality is, not all seafood is beneficial. In fact, for prevalent types that most men trust might be impairing your circulation, hindering blood flow to the penis, and silently inflaming your prostate. Conversely, for often overlooked types of seafood, abundant in the right fats, minerals, and amino acids, could be the key to unlocking stronger erections, increased energy, and improved overall well-being. And in just a few moments, I'll reveal a unique shellfish that most men never consider eating, yet it contains a natural mineral compound demonstrated to enhance pelvic blood flow within days. So please stay with me. This could be the seafood revelation that preserves your manhood. Before we proceed, if you're a man over 60 who is interested in restoring energy, circulation, and confidence, please be sure to click that subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you never miss another valuable tip created specifically for you. And if this video resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 so I know how to better assist you in the future. Let's begin with the 4 types of seafood you should absolutely avoid after 60. These are the ones that are quietly compromising your blood flow, reducing testosterone, and inflaming your prostate. Even if they appear healthy on the surface, if you're serious about safeguarding your manhood, these must be eliminated first. Number 1. Farmed tilapia. Tilapia is one of the most frequently consumed fish I see in my patients' dietary records. They tell me, "Doctor, I eat healthily. I bake tilapia 3 times a week because it's inexpensive, has a mild flavor, and is easy to prepare." However, what most men don't realize is this: the average farmed tilapia is one of the most inflammatory foods you can consume, particularly after 60. The truth is that almost all tilapia sold in the United States is farm-raised in overcrowded, poor-quality ponds, often in countries with lax environmental regulations. To control disease, producers inject the fish with antibiotics and feed them a diet high in grains and corn. This alters the fish's fat composition, making it extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, which trigger inflammation deep within your arteries. And for men over 60, the first arteries to be affected are the smallest ones, those responsible for pelvic blood flow and erection strength. I had a patient named Harold, 67 years old, a retired firefighter who was still active and mentally sharp but struggling with energy and intimacy. When we examined his habits, tilapia appeared 4 times a week. I asked him to eliminate it for 30 days and replace it with wild salmon instead. 6 weeks later, his energy had increased. Morning erections returned, and he said, "I feel like I've regained a part of my life." The unfortunate part is that most men are unaware that they're harming themselves with what seems like a sensible choice. And while tilapia is a sneaky culprit, the next one is even worse because it's not genuine seafood at all. In fact, it's a manufactured imitation that's readily available on grocery store shelves and in sushi rolls. Let's discuss it. Number 2. Imitation crab sticks. Let me be candid with you. I used to enjoy California rolls. They were my go-to lunch between hospital shifts. I never gave the crab inside a second thought. It tasted acceptable, satisfied my hunger, and didn't seem harmful. But once I began delving deeper into men's nutrition, I realized that what I was actually eating wasn't crab at all. It was imitation crab, or what's technically called surimi. And what I discovered forever changed the way I counsel my older male patients. Imitation crab is created by grinding low-quality white fish into a paste, then adding sugar, salt, MSG, and artificial flavorings to replicate the taste and texture of real crab meat. It's highly processed, full of additives, and almost entirely devoid of the nutrients your body truly requires, especially after 60. There's little to no zinc, no healthy fats, no real protein richness. What you do get is a fake food that amplifies inflammation, increases sodium intake, and disrupts your gut and prostate health. I once had a patient, Norman, 72, who believed he was benefiting his prostate by consuming seafood salad every day for lunch. When we examined the label, imitation crab was listed as the primary ingredient. After eliminating it and replacing it with real shellfish, his bloating subsided, his energy increased, and his PSA levels even decreased slightly over the following 6 months. Small adjustments can truly make a difference. The reality is, what appears to be seafood isn't always seafood, and your body recognizes the distinction, even if your taste buds don't. But if you think imitation crab is bad, wait until you hear about the next so-called healthy seafood that's silently filling your body with toxic metals and dragging your hormones down with it. Let's discuss what's hidden inside your can of tuna. Number 3. Canned tuna with soybean oil. For decades, canned tuna has had a reputation as a lean, healthy option, especially for men monitoring their weight or cholesterol. And I'll admit, I used to keep a few cans in my own pantry. It was convenient, high in protein, and seemed like a smart choice. But what I've learned in the past 10 years, both in clinical practice and research, has completely transformed how I discuss it with my older patients. The issue isn't just the tuna itself. It's how it's processed and, more importantly, what it's packed in. Most canned tuna today is submerged in soybean oil, an inexpensive, highly processed oil that's been directly linked to reduced testosterone, chronic inflammation, and even metabolic damage in men over 60. Soybean oil is rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which are inflammatory on their own. But when combined with mercury, a heavy metal often present in larger fish like tuna, the result can be a silent hormonal catastrophe. I remember one man, Don, age 70, who consumed canned tuna almost daily. He had no idea that mercury was accumulating in his system, gradually damaging his testosterone pathways and weakening his erections over time. His blood tests revealed elevated mercury levels and suppressed free testosterone. After switching to low-mercury fish and completely eliminating soybean oil, he felt clearer, more energized, and finally started waking up with firmness again. So, while canned tuna may appear harmless, for men over 60, it can be a ticking time bomb, especially when soaked in soybean oil and consumed regularly. However, there's one seafood even more deceptive than this. You'll find it on dinner plates across America, particularly at buffets and seafood restaurants, and it may be the most chemically contaminated item in your freezer right now. Let's take a closer look. Number 4. Imported, farm-raised shrimp. Shrimp is one of the most popular seafood choices in America, and for good reason. It's flavorful, high in protein, and cooks in minutes. But here's what most men over 60 don't realize. The majority of shrimp sold in U.S. supermarkets and restaurants isn't wild-caught. It's imported, farm-raised, and often comes from countries with little to no oversight on food safety. And that's where the real danger begins. I had a patient named Larry, 66 years old, who told me he ate shrimp almost every other day. It was his favorite healthy protein, but he couldn't understand why he felt bloated, tired, and emotionally flat, and why his nighttime urination kept getting worse. When we investigated further, it turned out that the farm-raised shrimp he was eating was treated with chemicals like sodium tripolyphosphate to preserve texture and color, and even trace amounts of antibiotics banned in the U.S. What many men don't realize is that these chemicals can disrupt the gut microbiome, overload the kidneys, and worsen prostate inflammation. And that's before we even discuss what shrimp farming does to the omega fat balance. Unlike wild shrimp, which are naturally anti-inflammatory, farmed shrimp are often raised on grain-based feed, which shifts the fat profile in the wrong direction, increasing internal inflammation that affects circulation, testosterone, and erectile health. So, while shrimp can be healthy, how it's raised and where it's from matters more than most people realize. And after 60, your body becomes far less tolerant of these hidden toxic loads. But here's the good news. Seafood doesn't have to be the enemy. In fact, there are 4 specific types of seafood that can help restore your energy, testosterone, and erection strength if you know which ones to choose. Let's discuss the ones you should eat instead. Number 1. Wild-caught salmon. I recall the first time I advised a patient to replace his tilapia with wild-caught salmon. He gave me a skeptical look and said, "Doctor, salmon's just another fish, right?" But after 2 months, he returned with a sparkle in his eyes and said, "Whatever's in that salmon, it works." Wild-caught salmon isn't just another fish. It's a game changer for men over 60, especially those struggling with blood flow, fatigue, or declining performance. Unlike farmed fish, wild salmon grows in clean, natural environments, feeding on a diet that makes its flesh rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and a potent antioxidant called astaxanthin. Together, these nutrients help relax blood vessels, reduce artery inflammation, and support the production of nitric oxide, the very chemical your body needs for strong, lasting erections. Salmon is also one of the few foods that naturally boosts testosterone. It supports hormone balance by reducing cortisol and providing the building blocks your body needs to stay strong and vital. And for men in their 60s and 70s, that hormonal advantage makes all the difference. One of my patients, Greg, age 71, began eating grilled wild salmon twice a week. Nothing fancy, just lemon and herbs. Within weeks, his mood improved, his energy increased, and he quietly admitted, "My wife noticed the difference before I did." Not all fish restore your strength, but wild-caught salmon can help reignite it from the inside out. Now, if salmon is the king of circulation, the next seafood on our list might just be the crown jewel of testosterone, and it's been prized as an aphrodisiac for centuries. Let me show you why oysters are more than just a romantic cliché. Number 2, oysters. When most men hear the word oysters, they think of fancy dinners or romantic dates. But what they don't realize is that this humble shellfish might be one of the most powerful natural testosterone boosters on the planet, especially for men over 60. I had a patient named Carl, 68, who came into my office complaining of low energy, poor drive, and just not feeling like himself anymore. His labs showed low zinc, borderline testosterone, and early signs of prostate strain. Instead of rushing to prescribe medications, I started with nutrition. And at the center of that plan were oysters. Oysters are packed with zinc, one of the most critical minerals for male hormones. Without enough zinc, your body struggles to make testosterone. Your prostate becomes more vulnerable to inflammation. Your sperm production drops, and your libido quietly disappears. Just 2 or 3 oysters provide more than 300% of your daily zinc needs. And that's not all. Oysters also contain selenium for prostate support, vitamin B1 for energy, and taurine, an amino acid that helps regulate blood pressure and nerve sensitivity. Carl began eating oysters twice a week, grilled, raw, even baked. Within 2 months, he told me, "I feel like a fog has lifted. My drive is back, and I finally feel sharp again." No pills, just the right fuel. For men over 60, oysters are more than a food. They're a message to your body: rebuild, restore, reawaken. And if oysters are the spark, the next seafood on our list is pure fuel. It's small, oily, and often overlooked, but it's one of the most nutrient-dense foods for aging men. Let me tell you about sardines. Number 3, sardines in olive oil. Sardines don't receive much appreciation. They're small, slightly smelly, and come in a can. But let me tell you something. When it comes to male vitality after 60, sardines are one of the most underrated powerhouses you can eat. I had a patient named Richard, 73 years old, who walked into my office tired, foggy, and frustrated. He'd tried everything: protein powders, testosterone boosters, energy drinks, but nothing made a lasting difference. When I examined his diet, he was missing something simple yet profound: real, whole food nutrients. I suggested he start eating sardines just twice a week, packed in olive oil. 3 weeks later, Richard returned. His eyes looked brighter. He said his mind was sharper, and for the first time in months, he was waking up with a sense of vitality again. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like someone flipped a switch." Sardines are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids to support blood flow, vitamin B12 to nourish the nervous system, and a mineral blend that helps maintain steady energy throughout the day. They're low in mercury, easy to digest, and packed with CoQ10, which supports heart and prostate health, 2 things every man over 60 needs to protect. And when you get them packed in olive oil instead of soy or canola, you're giving your body anti-inflammatory fuel that works from the inside out. They may be small, but sardines carry big benefits, and they're especially important if you're serious about preserving your circulation, energy, and confidence. And while sardines support you from head to toe, The final seafood I want to share has one very specific gift. It helps your body unlock more nitric oxide naturally, the very compound that triggers and strengthens erections. Let's talk about scallops. Number 4. Scallops. There's something elegant about scallops. They're tender, mild, and feel like a treat. But behind their soft texture is a nutritional profile that makes them one of the most powerful foods a man over 60 can eat. I often recommend them to my patients, not just because they taste great, but because of what they do at the molecular level, especially for circulation, nerve health, and testosterone support. I remember a patient named Dennis, 69, who was hesitant when I first mentioned scallops. "Aren't they just expensive filler on a fancy menu?" he joked, but he gave them a try. Twice a week, pan-seared with a little garlic and olive oil. A month later, he told me, "I didn't expect much, but something's changing. My energy is steadier. My focus is sharper, and things are starting to wake up again." Scallops are rich in arginine, the amino acid your body uses to make nitric oxide, the key chemical responsible for relaxing blood vessels and enabling strong erections. They're also packed with magnesium, which supports testosterone production and muscle relaxation, selenium, which protects the prostate, and vitamin B12, which sharpens brain function and stabilizes mood. Plus, they're low in fat, low in mercury, and incredibly easy to digest, perfect for aging digestive systems. For men over 60, scallops aren't just a luxury, they're a tool for restoration. When paired with other circulation-friendly foods, they help rebuild what time and stress may have taken away. Now that you know which seafoods to avoid and which to embrace, the real question is how to put this all into practice. Let me share a simple weekly seafood routine I give to many of my patients and how it can transform your energy, confidence, and performance in just a few weeks. Conclusion. Over the past 30 years, I've watched countless men walk into my office feeling frustrated, tired, and unsure of what went wrong. Many of them weren't lazy. They weren't doing everything wrong. In fact, most were trying to eat healthy, but their seafood choices, something so small, so ordinary, were quietly working against them. We started this journey by exposing 4 seafoods that can silently harm a man over 60. Farm tilapia with its inflammatory fats, imitation crab, which isn't even real seafood, canned tuna packed in testosterone-lowering soybean oil, and imported, farm-raised shrimp full of chemical residues. These choices may seem harmless, but over time they chip away at your energy, your hormones, your erections, and your sense of vitality. But then we flipped the script. We talked about 4 powerful allies hiding in the seafood aisle: wild-caught salmon to restore circulation and hormone balance, oysters to flood your system with zinc and testosterone-supporting minerals, sardines, the quiet giants of nutrient density, and scallops rich in arginine and magnesium to reignite your body's natural nitric oxide engine. I've seen what happens when a man takes this seriously. His posture changes. His confidence returns. He wakes up with purpose again, not because of a miracle drug, but because he fed his body what it truly needed. So, if you've been feeling like something's slipping, I invite you to take this first step. Swap out the harmful seafoods, bring in the healing ones, and give your body 30 days. You might be surprised what wakes back up, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and deeply. As a man, you're not broken. You're just waiting to be rebuilt the right way, and that rebuilding starts with your plate.